Welcome to the Explainer. So, if you've ever worked in HR or if you've been the one responsible for managing a company's payroll, you know exactly about the quiet, hidden struggle that happens behind the scenes every single month. It isn't always the big, flashy strategic initiatives that keep you up at night. Honestly, it's often the tedious, tangled web of tracking who is in the office, who is out, and exactly how that impacts their paycheck.
All right, picture this scenario. It's the 25th of the month. Yeah, that specific number is practically etched into the minds of payroll teams everywhere. It's the day when salary calculations officially begin. And almost like clockwork, it triggers this frantic, stressful hunt for the truth. Suddenly, you're digging through endless email threads just to find a missing leave application. Or you're trying to figure out if an employee actually took that sick day they mentioned in passing 3 weeks ago. By the time you hit the 25th, there is literally no time to chase down the facts. Yet the payroll absolutely has to go out. Okay, let's dive into this. Today's roadmap covers the manual leave trap, why spreadsheets persist, where payroll breaks down, the hidden business costs, and finally, the integrated solution. Section 1, the manual leave trap, spreadsheets and plot holes. The core problem we're dealing with here is that manual leave systems are essentially stories filled with missing plot lines, like a casual leave that simply wasn't logged, or a sick leave application trapped unread in someone's inbox.
This brings us to Section 2, why spreadsheets persist, the growth illusion. It's completely fair to ask why companies still rely on basic forms and emails in 2026, but we really have to approach this with a bit of empathy.
See, there's actually a very reasonable explanation for this. When you look at a 15-person startup, a simple spreadsheet works perfectly fine. You know exactly who is in the room and who is out. But as you transition into a scaling company, things change rapidly. The reality is that companies almost always grow a lot faster than their internal systems do. And honestly, nobody has the time or the budget to fix something that isn't visibly broken. Until, of course, the wheels completely fall off. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is just how complex these Indian leave policies actually are. They are definitely not uniform. They vary by state, by industry, and by employment contract. You aren't just tracking quote-unquote days off. You are juggling casual, sick, and earned accruals. You have carryover rules for privileged leave, maternity and paternity tracking, compensatory time off for weekend work, loss of paydays. Oh, and those tricky sandwich leave rules where weekends get clubbed with leaves, plus state-specific public holidays. Trying to track all of this manually for even 20 employees is a near impossible task. As your headcount grows, the math literally just shatters.
Section 3, where payroll breaks down, the cracks in the system. Here is the undeniable truth. Every single leave decision directly touches an employee's salary.
When that leave data isn't accurate, your payroll simply cannot be accurate either. And that inevitably leads to clashes. Let me ask you this. When year-end rolls around and employees are rushing to use what's owed to them before it lapses, and there's a glaring discrepancy, who is right?
Because let's be real, the conversation usually sounds exactly like this. The employee insists, hey, I have 8 earned leaves left. But the master spreadsheet, it says, nope, you have 5. Without a system-tracked history, HR is forced to play mediator in a high-stakes dispute. You end up relying purely on flawed human memories and incredibly messy email trails. It's frustrating, it's time-consuming, and honestly, it just breeds distrust.
And the consequences go way beyond just a frustrated employee. Let's walk through this dangerous domino effect. Step 1. You have an unsynchronized loss of pay or LOP entry. Maybe it wasn't captured or maybe it got applied to the wrong person. Step 2. Because that LOP was wrong, the wrong gross salary gets calculated. And then Step 3. This cascades into a quiet but massive statutory compliance nightmare downstream. It affects calculations for provident funds, employee state insurance, and TDS tax deductions. A single, seemingly harmless manual error can snowball into severe compliance gaps and statutory penalties without anyone even realizing it until an audit hits.
Section 4, the hidden business costs, below the iceberg surface. We've talked about the visible errors, but manual tracking carries massive costs that never actually show up as a line item on a company's budget.
Seriously, think about how your team's time is being spent. Payroll executives running manual systems end up wasting massive amounts of time just reconciling leave and attendance data every single month. They're sitting there cross-checking registers and doing manual math. This creates a dangerous lack of focus on things that actually move the business forward, like strategic tax planning, detailed reporting, or optimizing finances. They're trapped just firefighting administrative messes instead of doing the high-level work they were hired for.
And this brilliantly illustrates what you find below the surface of that iceberg. These are the indirect costs that quietly destroy a company from the inside. We are talking about severe employee dissatisfaction when payslips come out wrong. We're talking about lost trust because leave balances seem completely arbitrary. Managers get incredibly frustrated because they cannot plan team projects properly with inaccurate attendance data. And of course, those looming statutory penalties we mentioned earlier. HR teams are already stretched incredibly thin, right? They're caught in this massive divide between administrative drag and strategic work. Every hour spent chasing managers for approval confirmations, doing manual LOP math, or responding to leave history queries that really should be self-serve is an hour stolen from strategic work. HR should be focusing on employee engagement, hiring top talent, learning, and improving company culture. Manual data chasing just steals that precious time away. Which brings us to Section 5, the integrated solution, real-time relief, and strategic freedom. The fix requires adopting an integrated system. This could be embedded directly into an HRMS or managed through a dedicated payroll outsourcing partner like PaySquare, bringing everything into one seamless, automated environment. Just notice the stark contrast in daily operations here. With a manual system, reconciliations happen at the chaotic end of the month. With an integrated system, they happen in real time. In a manual setup, leave flow requires double data entry. In an integrated one, approved leaves flow automatically straight into payroll. Balances update themselves without manual intervention. Crucially, LOP days are flagged long before the salary processing even begins, completely eliminating that 25th of the month panic. So, the crucial point is this. The element that changes absolutely everything is the audit trail. An integrated system gives you a clear, automatically logged record of every single approval, deduction, and adjustment. When those inevitable year-end questions come up, and let's face it, they always do, there is no more arguing over who is right. You don't have to hunt through printed emails. There is a crystal-clear record to point to, instantly resolving disputes and restoring employee trust. Which leaves us with this final vital thought to end today's explainer. Look at your own organization and ask yourself, is your HR team building company culture, or are they just chasing spreadsheets? Because manual leave management isn't actually free, even if it looks like it costs $0 on paper. The payroll errors it creates, the massive workload it adds, and the compliance risks it introduces will always show up eventually, usually at the worst possible time. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope this gives you the clarity you need to empower your HR team and completely rethink your systems.